Hello everybody, how are you going? Welcome to some TikToks that are hopefully going to compare Canada to its father and motherland, the UK.
Yesterday I asked my Canadian colleague if they have any blue tack and she had no idea what I was talking about, and I needed some blue tack because I'm about to put some revision posters on the wall and I just needed some blue tack. Like, I don't want to sellotape it to the wall. And yeah, she had no idea what I was talking about. And so I Googled, okay, what is blue tack in Canada? It is poster putty. The poster putty.
Oh. I mean,
and so, yeah, fun tack. Apparently it is fun tack. And then I realised that blue tack was actually the brand name. But in England, we just call it blue tack. That's what everyone knows it by.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got white tack as well. Just blue tack and white tack. White tack was maybe a newer thing. Blue tack was like the OG. Yeah. So yeah. Poster putty is blue tack.
Wow.
Yes.
That's, I mean, it makes sense. And yes, it's a little bit weird to be hearing and you kind of wouldn't think about it, but it does make sense to be not calling it what you expect to be calling it. I mean, poster putty, completely out there, left of field, but again, it does make sense as that's generally what it's going to be used for. And then for her to be saying that they also had white tack, I've never heard of white tack. Everything I've ever heard of, even brand name or not, I feel like, I don't even know, can you get non-branded blue tack? I don't know. And I certainly wouldn't know what to call it if we didn't call it blue tack. It is just blue tack. I've never heard of white tack, poster putty, fun tack, nothing like that. Honestly, even just reading some of the other comments, they say I've always called it sticky tack, and then they got thrown off by the tape, but Canadians call it blue tack. It was her thing. So I guess there's a little bit of mixed messaging there, and maybe it depends on the demographic, like the age of the person, if they're going to be around or originally dealing it when it was only the one brand and that became the vernacular, but now that there is just competing products, it just gets thrown around and mixed up. Maybe that's the only thing that I can give them, but otherwise I've just learned a whole boatload more names for one style of product.
Look at that, the sun's out. That's nice. We should hang out a little bit, maybe go see a movie after, or, you know, we can do whatever. It's supposed to be like this all week, so it's nice.
Jesus Christ, what's that? Oh my God, it's Son. Head in, Michael, Ben, inside. Get your mum's Strilac. Come out, spray me like a hose. I don't care, I'm gonna burn. Suffering Jesus, is that the Son? Right, you lot, strip your kecks off. I don't care, bollocks, fanny out and all. We're hopping in the mazy now. I don't care if there's acid in there. Shitty, pissy knickers. The sun's out, look at that. Right, babes, literally, hear me out, right? I don't know if you've seen it outside. The fucking sun's out, right? This may seem a bit muggy, right? I know we just put your mum in the ground the other day, but why don't we go and dig her out, right? Give her a last bit of sun outside. Come on, babes.
Right, what's that about? That's the sun outside. Oh my God, I feel like a baby being born. This is beautiful, right?
Anyway, man, is that the fucking sun in the sky, right? I'm about to fucking sprout a tear now. I'm fucking knackered of the rain, like, this is better than sex, like.
Right, dickhead. Proper sound of you to come out here. I thought you abandoned me. I haven't seen you since I was 4. It's like I compare the son and my dad together. Right, absolute fucking ace.
Not your son and your dad in the same sentence. I mean, of course, it's a different spelling, but in this case, he seems almost choked up about it enough where it could be his entire family has been lost, or he's comparing the sun never coming out, especially being from Manchester. And I guess just all of these places, all of the UK, really just not getting that much sunshine. You know, you hear the thing, oh, it's a beautiful sunny day outside today. It is almost 15 degrees, and you go, huh? Almost 15, but beautiful and sunny. That doesn't equate at all, but I guess if you just be digging up your grandma just to be giving her one last ray of sunshine and she's gonna love it for that, I guess it really does put it into perspective about how little sunshine they truly do get. And so as much as there was a whole host of different accents in this entire thing, I'm a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to see more Canadian, because if it's just Canada in general, I'm sure that's not going to be up at alert. I'm sure they're not going to be having the same thing as Toronto or anywhere else in Canada. It's just going to be a little bit separated and a little bit environmentally different.
Do you want to know a really big difference between Canada and England? Canadians care about their environment. Brits do not. Look at this.
What's going on? Okay.
Like, this is disgusting. There is a bin right there, and people just throw the rubbish like right on the floor. There is literally a bin. And it's not just there either. Like, there's rubbish all over the station.
Okay.
Like, look over here. Rubbish all on the floor. There are bins right there. Yeah. What is wrong with people? Like, honestly, what is actually wrong with people?
It feels like just looking at these images though, or especially the first one, where was it? It looked like the bin had broken. Like, yeah, that's a very, from what I can see there, a very obvious hole that is just making everything fall out. And so I think maybe people aren't as lazy as she is intending, or not intending them to be, but more so how much she is alleging they are. But I think they just need to be reconsidering their choice of plastics for these bin bags. I mean, even just if you put a solid wheelie bin, like an Australian bin, I don't know how else I'd call it, there instead, they don't just rip and tear. Yes, sometimes they do have bags to them, and I guess they can rip, but then you still have a solid plastic container that nothing's going to really just be out and about on. I mean, I'm not excusing all the behavior, because we know there are plenty of people, sadly, that just don't seem to have the capacity to walk an extra meter. Apparently, they just aren't able to make it into the bin. I mean, we can see that there's one on the right here out of this pair, or even both of them don't seem to be overflowing for one, and teared for two. So in that regard, that's completely inexcusable. But the first one, I just want to believe that people have at least attempted to, because it looked like they had, but the bin had ripped open. So I guess actually I should just see what she has to say about Canada and their entire bin situation. Do they use just better bin bags?
Put your rubbish in the bloody bin. Do you know what's really sad? I knew I was in England when I first got off the plane. I was driving home and a woman just opened her window, like she was driving in front of us, and she just opened her window, threw her rubbish out the window. I have never, ever seen such behaviour in Vancouver or driving around BC or Alberta. It's just disgusting behaviour.
Oh, yeah, and it's interesting that she's picked up on it as a difference between very similar countries. You know, you're not going from the middle of one continent to the middle of another continent or anything like that. You were going to two very similar countries. Like I said at the very start, they are just siblings, daughters, fathers, sons of one another, especially these days. And so to be picking up on these major cultural differences, to be going, I landed, and within the first drive home, I was just reminded of it because I saw some lady just throw it out. Like, I don't know the last time I would have seen someone just thrown rubbish out the window. I mean, you see cigarette butts kind of often, but just, I'm imagining like a bundle of rubbish just getting thrown out the window, and I don't know. I mean, it certainly does happen in Australia, and you can see it on highways, and then the bin thing is an entirely separate story again, but to just be throwing something out the window, it's going to depend on the area and depend on the person, and it's not impossible for it to happen, but it seems like it's less prevalent maybe than what she's saying.
Some of the biggest differences between houses in the UK versus houses from Canada. Air conditioning. British homes do not have aircon.
Absolutely.
And those homes are built for winter, so it gets so fucking hot in those houses. And the humidity and like the lack of AC means at night you just lie in a puddle of your own sweat in your bed, hoping that you can get about an hour's sleep at night.
Good.
It's awful compared to my wonderful Canadian home that has AC. This house was wonderful and cool in the summer. I love it. It's amazing, and I wish we had AC back in the UK.
Fair enough.
British homes don't have fly nets. So when your unair-conditioned house gets a bit toasty in the summer and you open a window, you spend the rest of your day battling flies, which is a nightmare, and it's sort of become a bit of a joke. Compared to amazing Canadian houses, every single window in my house came with a fly net owner.
Yep.
So if I wanted to, I could open the windows, but I don't need to because of the AC. Speaking of AC, how we heat our homes in Canada is very different to how we heat them in the UK.
Okay.
So houses here in Canada, or my house in Canada, is heated through using like an air vent system. Like there's a vent
right underfloor,
and basically the boiler heater thing circulates hot air through the house, compared to the UK where it's all heated centrally using radiators.
Of course. I was trying to think about what it could possibly be, but my mind was still stuck in just fireplaces and the Industrial Revolution, and so then I was trying to go, what could it possibly be? I know that in Canada they can use, I guess, electric heating, but it doesn't generally work too well as you get even colder and colder and colder, and so then you do have to switch over to forced furnace and boilers and all those kind of things. But then to be coming back to the fly screens, that is such a thing that I guess now thinking about it, that the UK doesn't have. Like you look at, or you picture all of their terraces and all of those places, they're just windows. There's nothing else on the windows, whether they're single pane or triple pane, whatever it is, there's nothing else there, where every Australian home basically ever has fly screens. I guess that makes sense in Canada as well. Also throwing me for a loop, there was the fact that apparently the UK has a fly problem. I feel like that's kind of relative. I don't know how much the UK really deals with flies in the scheme of the world, but hey, if you don't have fly screens, I can understand how if you just want to open your windows, and especially if you don't have any kind of forced cooling in a massively insulated house, so as soon as it gets hot, you cook in a puddle of sweat, so then you're just going to be between a rock and a hard place going, I don't want the flies, I don't want the flies, I don't want the mosquitoes, I don't want the flies, they're just going to keep me up all night, but if I don't, then I'm just going to be extra hot and I'm just going to be up all night anyway.
My boyfriend came to visit me in Vancouver from the UK for a couple of weeks, and he absolutely loved it, but he had one complaint.
Ooh.
He couldn't find multi-packs of crisps in any of the supermarkets in Vancouver that we went in. And we went in pretty much like your major supermarkets, just not
What
Costco.
is
Maybe
this?
Costco sell them, I don't know. But the ordinary supermarkets don't. And by crisps, I mean chips, which is what Canadians call them. And if you don't know what I mean, here is a little photo. So you can buy multi-packs of crisps in pretty much any crisp that we sell. Like whatever crisp it is, it will come in a multi-pack. And this is what we buy, so we can have one packet as a daily snack. Whereas I've seen Canadians just buy a big bag of chips, or crisps. I don't know why I say chips now. And they eat what they want in one sitting, and then they roll the packet over, put a pinchy thing on it, and move on with their day.
Yes, move on with your life and stop using all the plastic that it comes with multi-packets of chips. The only time that kind of multi-packets make sense in a way is in lunchboxes, but come on, just, I don't know, put it in a container or something. There's no reason to be complaining about the fact that you can't buy multi-packs of chips. Just, I mean, it's going to be more expensive surely because there's more packaging involved regardless. And then you're also not going to be getting so much more air for your money. And then you're also not able to have just a few more. I mean, maybe you're trying to be a little bit diet conscious and that makes sense. But come on, just have a little bit of willpower instead of just getting multi-packs of chips. That just never makes sense. Get 5 packets of chips that will last you multiple days instead of getting 1 packet of chips for 1 day. So as much as he can complain about the one gripe of Canada, I think he's completely ridiculous. I think he should just move on with his life and just get with the times. It's not the 60s where we're trying to individually wrap everything in plastic, surely.
Okay, differences between Canada and UK question mark? I don't know if this is a difference or not. This is just my store. But let me tell you, tonight I had a hankering for some JellO, jelly, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
So I went to the store to go buy the powder, as I know it, to make said JellO. And all I could find was this. And it's like
liquid?
An intense JellO or jelly that you then water down to make your jelly. So is that how you get it here? Does it already come in an intense jelly form, or can you buy it in powder here? I don't know. Tell me everything.
Huh?
I just...
What? Where? Okay, where is she first of all? Judging by the accent, I can only imagine that she is Canadian and she's moving to the UK. My brain took a second to flip because we've seen a lot of the other way round. But I've never seen a product like that. I mean, was there any packaging or labeling that we can read that was like concentrate or anything? What does it say? Strawberry Hartley strawberry jelly is what I believe, and maybe it would say it down there, but it's not like it says concentrate in massive writing or anything. And so I would love to know what exactly that is. Maybe the comments can tell me a little bit more. It seems to me like that is kind of concentrated jelly, but you're not meant to water it down or anything. It's just meant to be just basically sucking it up and dealing with the extra spice, so to say. But you can also buy it in powder form, which would make sense as that's always going to be the easiest way to transport it, like not having to adding water and curing it and anything like that. No way. Just powder that stuff and send it on its way.
Today I learned that kids in England don't learn about ice safety in school and how to tell if a pond is frozen thick enough to walk on and play hockey and stuff, which I guess makes sense because I don't think it will ever get cold enough for your ponds to freeze over safely. But with that said, that means you missed a vital part of elementary school where you had to shove your hand into a bucket of ice water so you know what it feels like to be freezing. All I'm saying is it's unfortunate that you guys missed out on that important, but yes, traumatic education in school.
Wow. That's something that I've just learnt as well, but there are so many things to be breaking down from there. Going, one, why does the UK not do it? As much as she can sit there and say that they don't get cold enough for the ponds to freeze over, I don't know. I feel like surely they do. Maybe not like minus 40, but they still get cold, especially in the northern parts of the UK in particular, like up in Scotland, Isles and everything like that. They're going to be getting pretty darn cold that I can only imagine that the ponds are going to be freezing over. At least that's my entire perception of it. And so not to be teaching any kind of ice safety is very surprising. I feel like, yes, you might not be out playing hockey and ice hockey as much, but surely you're still going to be wanting to teach how to deal with driving and living in colder climates. So now, maybe going as far as to stick every single kid's hand in a bucket of ice might be a little bit too far to some people's regards. I mean, it's definitely going to teach people a lesson about how cold it truly is going to be and how numb their hand is going to be, and how you don't want to be falling and delving into a big vat of anything cold like that. But just for it to be completely neglected is quite surprising, especially when they do have days off because it's too cold and you're snowed in. And so if it was Australia, yeah, we don't do that. And that makes sense. We have days that are too hot to go to school, not days that are too cold to go to school. But please just let me know what is actually taught to you about measuring or just perceiving the depth of the ice to know if it is just safe or not. Do you look at it? Do you touch it? Do you whack it? Do you do anything like that? Or do you just stick your hand in and hope?
You like my house coat? House coat? Because it's a coat you wear in the house. Obviously, it's a dressing gown. A, it's not a gown. B, you don't only wear it when you're dressing. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a robe. You're both wrong. You like my house coat?
Oh my goodness. I guess people wear these in Australia, but I feel like they only wear them in hotels. There's just something about them sitting on the clothes rack at a hotel that makes people go, yeah, that's the one. I'm going to wear it everywhere. Breakfast buffet? Yeah. Poolside? Yeah. Meanwhile, around the house, no one has ever worn a dressing gown, I believe is what they're referring to as the house coat, and everything else that was mentioned in or around the house. I mean, maybe if you're older and you really can't be bothered getting up and getting dressed, sure, do whatever you want, wear whatever you want, but the percentage of people that are actually wearing it around the house is pretty darn low, because it's never really getting that cold where people want an extra coat. Just that's kind of nice and fluffy, and I guess bath and shower related is what I've always perceived it as, where they're saying it's just around the house. Either way, it's very, very rare for that kind of thing to be worn in Australia, because you just kind of deal with the slight coldness of the entire place.
That are different in the UK compared to Canada. Food edition.
Ooh,
butter.
Okay.
The butter here in Canada doesn't soften as easily as British butter. Now, I don't know if it's because we have AC on, so maybe the room's just not warm enough, but it should be. And in the UK, if you leave your butter out of the fridge all day, it will be very soft and very spreadable. Whereas here, you could leave butter out of the fridge all day and it's just not spreadable. And there's a very different consistency to the butter here. And I do find it melts a little bit differently when you cook with it. It's still delicious though. But yeah, it's just that different consistency and the lack of spreadability with the butter that kind of blew my mind a bit.
Why? Before she goes to secondly, why is that? I'm just trying to see. The butter is a new thing within the last few years. What? That doesn't make any sense. The butter not softening is new. Apparently it's because farmers are mixing in palm oil into food sources to increase... Wait, due to an increase in regular feed? Huh? Regular feed? What is that? That's not even a sentence. Mixing palm oil into food sources due to an increase in regular feed prices. Is that what they mean? But then that is actually changing the ingredients, so to say, of the milk content and then the butter content? That's strange. But then to be having that much of a difference on the melting point of butter, going from, I don't know what you want to call it, 15 degrees to 25 degrees melting, and even then melting differently when you're cooking with it, that's all weird. And I don't know, I guess there's nothing particularly wrong with it, but it's weird that it's different. Like, it's clearly not just the raw form of what people generally want the butter to be, which is just, in the most basic sense, just churned milk and that kind of stuff.
Salad dressings, or just salads in general.
Dressings.
Your salads are quite different here.
Okay.
Anytime I've had a salad here, there's always seemed to be bits that you wouldn't commonly find in a salad in the UK.
Like
things
what?
like croutons, which you do get in salads in the UK, but it's not that popular.
No.
And like bacon bits. Like, it's just not a thing really in the UK. You don't really put bacon in a salad.
No.
Ain't complaining, because bacon's always good, particularly Canadian bacon.
It is interesting to hear her say that, because it's a very similar thing that Australia experiences as well. Just going, I guess some people do put bacon and croutons and that kind of thing in the salads, but generally if someone is going to be making or asking or anything like that for a salad, it's just going to be very, very green. Well, very, very green for one, but very, very simple. You know, you're probably going to have some rocket in there, as much as I'm not a particular fan. People just love it because it's so cheap. You're going to be having maybe some baby spinach, some tomato, there's other things that can get mixed in, but it's quite a simple salad. Then if you expand out and you can go to all range of things, potato salads, coleslaws, if you want to be calling them salads, they do all exist, but they kind of all also stem from the Greek salad mixed with a green salad mixture. Somewhere in that world, with not adding extra things, to be having meat in a salad is a little bit weird or a little bit different. Like she said, it's not going to be a frowned upon thing, but it's going to be like, well, we've got the sausages, or we've got the chicken, or we've got the lamb, or we've got the beef, or whatever like that. And then you have the salad, which is the fruits and vegetables of the entire meal.
Okay, I'm from England and I'm living in Canada, and I've just got a Chinese takeaway from Canada. So let's play it out together. First thing is the rice, chicken fried rice. Okay. Do a dollop of this.
Gee, that's quite the
just
serving.
Like that. I have chicken lo mein. At home this is called chicken chow mein. Right. And the noodles are a lot thinner here than home, but this is like my favourite thing. Look at that.
It's just going everywhere.
Amazing. Then we've got the sesame seed chicken, which I only ever tried when I moved to Canada. I actually don't think this is a dish in England.
Right.
But
interesting.
It's so good. And we have sweet and sour chicken balls.
Where do these come from?
Different to home, but tastes so good.
Right.
And normally I would get seaweed, but they don't do seaweed here, and prawn crackers. They don't do prawn crackers in Canada, but...
What? What do you mean you don't do prawn crackers in Canada? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. No prawn crackers. It's like... I don't even think it's Chinese food if it doesn't have prawn crackers. I mean, of course, that's just the perspective based on what everyone has seen, but for the UK and Australia to be having prawn crackers, and then Canada not to be having prawn crackers, that is outrageous. Is it North America that doesn't have it, or is it just Canada? Because that could be a big distinction. Is it just Toronto versus Vancouver? Even something like that I wouldn't be completely surprised about, but it is blowing my mind that they don't have it. Wow. I mean, that kind of meal looks very, very similar worldwide in terms of every single Chinese place worldwide is going to be serving you that kind of stuff. What I am also blown away by the fact is that it's not in just takeaway containers. Like, they're round. Why are they round? And then that's in like a styrofoam container. I don't know the last time anyone got anything in a styrofoam container. And then obviously these chicken bitey bally things are in like a KFC looking box. I mean, maybe that's just the red and the white that's doing it, but it's in a paper folded box. That's just strange. Like, all of this would come individually in smaller portion sizes in takeaway containers. And I don't know how else to describe them, because I'm sure that they might be called takeaway containers, or maybe people call them take out containers because that's more the vernacular, but whatever it is, they're not standardized, or those don't look standardized, whereas the takeaway containers in Australia, I don't know how many have been made. Billions and billions and billions of these things have been made, and everyone has a stash of about 400 in their pantry or wherever you want to be keeping them, and they're good, they're handy, that you can put leftovers and anything else like that. But where are these imposters coming from? What are they? Styrofoam, round, and boxes? There's not a single one here that's just the normal.
And normally I would get seaweed, but they don't do seaweed here, and prawn crackers. They don't do prawn crackers in Canada. God. But I'm going to drizzle sweet and sour sauce on the top. I would normally do curry sauce, but they don't do curry sauce here either.
I didn't even hear what she just said. She said something about they don't do cray sauce, but that is the biggest sweet and sour sauce I have ever seen. If you were going to be getting sweet and sour sauce, you're going to be getting it's like a plastic shot glass sized thing with a lid on it. That is a tub. That's like what the restaurant has to be able to fill the Australian ones. That's outrageous. What is up with these portion sizes, let alone the sweet and sour sauce? Like, that would give you a heart attack. I mean, I'm sure it's good and I'm sure people use it, but that's crazy. That's a whole bottle of sweet and sour in one tub. Wow. She didn't even use half that tub at the end, probably not even a third, and it's completely covered. Like, just ridiculous. Look at this, just drizzle, drizzle, drizzle. She probably used 2 or 3 Australian tubs. Like, if you did that in Australia, you just get ripped in two by the rest of the family, because everyone goes, well, where's the rest for me? And generally people do have a bottle of it, maybe in the fridge or whatever, but still, to be getting a tub like that, crazy. I would love to know the vat that the restaurant has to be filling and pumping into that.
Hi, I'm British.
I'm Canadian.
And she's going to guess some slang.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Right, so getting pissed.
Pissing yourself.
Nope.
Wetting yourself.
Drinking. No.
It's like getting drunk.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like when you get like trolleyed or...
That's weird. Trolley from the supermarket.
Trolley.
Yeah, let's go. Right, so next up is wanker. Wanker. Yeah.
Fairly straightforward in a way.
Okay, so a wanker is like say waving hi at someone from over the road.
Saying hello.
That's... What? Huh? That's just so random for him to be segueing to, going, it's like someone waving to you across the road. That's just not what it is. And as much as he might be trying to kind of skirt around the answer a little bit, it's just wrong. Like, it's so misleading. You know, imagine you're walking down the British street and so all of a sudden just someone waves to you and you go, thank you, you wanker. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense at all. That's the opposite of what it is.
Yeah, so there's a wanker there, or you're wanking at someone.
So you do it on the daily then?
No.
You can do.
Fair enough.
So
unfair. Do you wank on the daily?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got riding knobs.
Like doorknobs.
No. It's it's like another term. It's like another term for like catching Z's.
Sleeping. Okay.
Yeah. So like, how often would you ride knobs?
I mean, I hope 7 to 8 hours a night.
Yeah.
Solid sleep.
That's a good.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm understanding where he's gone with this. He started out with one that made sense, gave her the correct answer, so to say, to gain her trust, and then is also then just proceeding to play on her gullibility just to say whatever he wants. I mean, of course, this is the internet and they could just be setting the entire thing up, but it's the idea that it could even happen in the first place and has kind of happened between drop bears and everything else that everyone all around the world has experienced. It's not that far from the truth.
Right, and then you've got knackered.
Tired.
What? You get knocked over, or
okay, fair enough.
No, it's like think like I'm knackered.
I'm fucked.
Kind of.
No, I'm not tired.
Yeah.
I'm knackered.
I mean, she's not wrong. She's just using a different descriptive word to describe how she's feeling, because you could be feeling a certain kind of way if you are knackered, and it can be multiple ways at the same time, but knackered is a very PC, very publicly appropriate way to be saying, yeah, I'm pretty darn tired today because of XYZ reason.
Like, next is bell me. Bell me.
Ringing a bell.
This poor girl.
Yeah.
Oh,
Calling
no.
Yeah,
I got that one.
Yeah, fine. Okay. Bird.
Like a pigeon.
No.
Well, yeah, they are birds.
Well,
but I mean,
seagull.
like, you could be like, no, like that's a bird over there.
Yeah, there's lots of birds.
Like a woman. That's more like Essex. Like,
yeah, Essex.
Yeah.
I did like how at the end they just circled back and gave her a more normal one, even though she might have not known it. He didn't tamper with the results, so to say, and say that bird means something entirely different to what it actually ended up meaning, which, like you said, could mean in this context a woman over there, let's say. But overall, I hope she never goes to the UK, because there's going to be a lot of people that can be very quickly offended by her, and she may very quickly get offended by many other things.
So we are here in Romford today with Auntie Sue and Skittles, and we're going to play a version of Canadian versus English words, because I always see this on TikTok and I think it's funny.
Here we go.
So we've made a list of words today, and now we're going to share them with you. Okay, Auntie Sue, what do you call a face cloth? A flannel.
A flannel?
I told her that a flannel at home is like a black jacket. Diaper? Nappy.
Yep.
Charlotte does like a nap. Stroller.
A pram.
Yeah, I've heard that one. 2 weeks.
A fortnight.
Fortnite.
Yep.
That's a video game. I
No,
think.
it's spelled differently at least.
Elevator.
A lift. Yeah.
Same principle. Band-aid. This was my favorite.
Plaster. That's what they call it. Maybe even what the older generation would call it, but realistically everyone is just going to be calling it a band-aid, whether it's one brand or another. It's all going to be called a band-aid, and the plaster would be like a plaster cast. Like if you broke your wrist or your arm or something like that, you would have an entire plaster on your arm, or that would be a cast. Most people are going to be calling it a cast, but it could be a plaster cast, where it's just a plaster for a band-aid. I have heard of it before, and it is quite funny, or it is quite cute in a way, but it hasn't carried over to Australia. What else have we got? Where plastic can be, like they said, like a construction site.
Backyard, back garden, or front garden if it's on your highway.
That's specific.
Motorway,
freeway,
okay, last,
highway.
which I feel like everyone knows. Cilantro.
Celery? Surely.
Oregano.
What?
I think it's coriander.
I think I pictured the right thing and said the wrong word. Either way, the fact that they just call it different words like aubergine and eggplant, and there's all those mixtures up in there as well. Everyone gets mixed around and everyone has the same objects, different words, but still the world just continues to go around. And so whether people just want to be using one word or another, and they just want to be buying one product or another, or whatever they can get their grubby little hands on, and whether you just taught to put your hand in ice or put your hand in sand, whatever it may be, everyone just gets to have a different experience. And then that's why it's so great, just to be going, wow, this is the tiny little differences that make us us and make our culture within our own country or within our own city just be different. And that's why people travel, because it is so eye-opening, and that's why we love it.